Okay, it's 7 o'clock. We will call the village meeting for May 8th to order. We'll begin by rising to recite a pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Huck?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. March?
Here.
Mr. Ham?
Here.
Mr. Bowden? And Mr. Hack?
Here. Trustees, in your packets, you have the minutes from the April 24th meeting. Are there any changes or corrections? If not, a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Motion by trustee March. Seconded by, I'll second it. Okay.
No. Present.
Oh, Kent?
Yes.
Seconded by trustee Ham.
Mr. March?
Yes.
Mr. Ham?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Present.
And Mr. Jones?
Present. You have to vote now.
And Mr. Hack?
Yes.
There you go. Now.
Accounts payable and payroll. You have the bills in your packets. It's payroll pay period ending April 22nd, 2017 in the amount of $45,268.85. Accounts payable general fund is $41,832.42. Water sewer fund $30,691.65. And capital improvement fund $30,825 even, for a grand total of $103,349.07.
I make a motion, we pay the bills and payroll.
Second.
Motion by trustee Hupkey, seconded by trustee Ham.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Mr. Ham?
Yes.
Mr. March?
Yes.
And Mr. Jones?
Yes.
And Mr. Hack?
Yes. Reports of committees. Wasn't the chief here? Chief's report. The public chief is left.
Yeah, public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Any public comment and or questions, any non-agenda items? Reports of committees, engineer report.
The work on Hummingbird Lane started today. So today they did the curb removal and they're gonna adjust the structures, and the plan is to replace the curb tomorrow and start the paving on Thursday.
Awesome. Thanks. Any updates on Rathje?
The lift station or the road.
The road.
We are still waiting for IDOT to approve our hydraulic report, which has been a very long time, but we're still going to be on schedule, at least at this point, to either do a late 2017 bid opening through IDOT or early 2018, so it should be 2018 construction.
And traffic signals?
That the two parcels are still not finished, so it doesn't appear we're going to make the June deadline. That concludes my report.
Public Works Committee met May 4th. Peter, you want to give the update?
Sure. I typed up some minutes for you guys in front of you. We talked about Parkway tree planting. We've got a budget of $10,000 this year. Bob said he was hoping to do 30 trees in the spring and 30 in the fall. He was going to get some quotes, local nurseries, and then we're going to decide at the next meeting whether we want to go with 1.5 or 2-inch trees. We talked about getting gator bags for each tree to help the homeowners be able to water the trees properly. Bob's got a list of ash trees that were taken down. People had requested that they get new trees. So we're going to put some of the trees in those spots, but most of them we want to put on Crawford, Maine, and Corning between Route 50 and West Street to make the biggest impact with those. Sidewalk replacement program, again, we got another $50,000 in the budget this year. We talked about areas that especially need it. Bob was going to get with Troy in the next few days to start the program rolling out. Did he talk to you at all, or?
Yeah, I think we're gonna get something scheduled for someone from Robinson to walk the streets and, get whatever picked out before we bring it to the board for the official locations.
Perfect. Summer help, they hired a couple of teenagers to help this summer, up to 600 hours apiece, and one of them is going to be put in the charge of the sidewalk grinder, hopefully spend most of their time on that, trimming small imperfections in some of the sidewalks so we can save money not having to replace those. General discussion, Trustee Jones commented how nice the new signs look, and would like some soil, fresh soil put around there, maybe some ground cover, something low maintenance so we don't have to worry about weeds growing up around them. And there was a drainage issue on Bonnie Lane that was discussed, and Bob was going to talk to the homeowners and try to straighten that out.
Thanks, Peter. We'll move on to new business. Item A, Gary Hudson, discussion regarding the current village fence ordinance relating to privacy fences.
Hi. You got before you tonight two variances for fences. And in the ordinance, this is the first time that planning and zoning has seen a variance for this reason. We've seen it for fences that encroach areas that they shouldn't, and discussion on working out those problems. The two variances that you have that we saw, that we passed on a favorable recommendation to you, were strictly about Section E, Line E in the fence ordinance that says that fences shall be open with a minimum open space of no less than a quarter inch between slats for the entire length of the fence. And in discussion on this, everybody on our committee felt like we really wanted the board to take a look at this and decide, I mean, are we really saying that we don't want solid privacy fences? Because really, when you think about it, a quarter inch is not very much. And in talking to the different fence manufacturers and installers that service this area, they don't really even have a fence panel that's like this with a quarter inch space. Most of the PVC fences interlock for strength. And they, you know, if you ask for a fence with a quarter inch space, it's actually a custom fence. And we've heard prices of $2,000 to $3,000 for an average size lot extra to do a custom fence. So what we'd like to do is we'd like for the board to take a look at this, because again, we don't really feel that a quarter inch space makes a whole lot of difference one way or another. And we I personally would kind of like to see somebody make a motion and just take it out of the ordinance. Because here's what's going to happen. Anybody that wants to do a fence like this is going to come in, they're going to apply for their permit, they're going to be told that they have to get a variance, they're going to come to planning and zoning, we're going to pass a favorable to you, and it's going to go on and on like that every time. Unless it's going to be black and white, like someone says should be, that this is the way it is, or that's the way it is, and, there's no variance. So we're just asking that you take a look at it. Like I said, I'd like to see a motion and just take it out. It'd make a lot of sense for the homeowners living in the village. It would make a lot of sense for the administration here to not have to deal with that every time somebody comes in for a permit. So I wanted to come here and see if anybody had any questions about that.
What's the total cost of an average fence in a backyard?
It can run, you got wood fences, you got PVC fences.
A good quality fence.
A good quality fence is going to be $8,000 to $12,000.
So you're talking about 16% more to order a fence with a slat, with
Right.
space.
Right.
And also, when you have a fence with space between the slats, you'll have a longer lasting fence because you've got airflow through it as opposed to a solid wall of plastic.
I've heard that, but in talking to fence people, I mean, it really, if it's installed correctly, it's going to last. I mean, obviously, there's a little less wind resistance if you have a space.
especially on top. When you go to a 5 to a 6 foot fence with the lattice work on top.
But a quarter inch is not very much.
I don't know, when we, I was part of a committee of 6 or 8, and we probably spent 60, 70 man hours and had village planners and fence companies come in, and that was their recommendation.
Well, I think what you want to say then is that we don't allow solid privacy fences.
That was-
And put that right in the ordinance, because the quarter inch space, I mean, it just,
Well, it's a quarter inch every 4 inches. It's what we wanted to get away from was that solid stockade look or that solid plastic wall look. I mean, a quarter inch is kind of what we settled on. Ideally, an inch would be better, so when you drive by, it's not like looking at this, plastic wall. It gives a feeling of airiness and lightness, and air passes through it. And the appearance factor, I think, is worth much more than 16%. Just as a cost-cutting measure, to have a variance so you can put in a cheaper product. Those decisions weren't made haphazardly in a 30-minute meeting. I bet there was 50 to 80 man-hours with professional people spent. And the purpose of it was to make the village nicer and look better. I mean, imagine a village with 6-foot solid plastic walls around every yard.
well, the fence ordinance has been in effect for a while. There have been solid fences put up since the ordinance was in effect. This is the first time that we've ever seen a variance. So I don't know who's approving them, but, I think it's something that needs to be looked at.
And there's other things too. You don't run parallel fences. I was out looking today at this one, and I see parallel fences run out there. How do you take care of that 6-inch or 12-foot strip of weeds between 2 fences? That was part of that. I mean, there was a lot of thought. The fence has got to go to the back lot line, and I know there's applications where there's not, and especially when people put up a solid fence, 6 foot tall, 4 feet in from the lot line, that becomes a dumping ground, because they don't have to look at it for dead grass and weeds and old tires and God knows what else. Whereas if you've got space between that fence and they've got to look at it, they're a lot less likely to do it. And it's got to be on the lot line, so they can't do it. If they dump it over that fence, it's in somebody else's property. So there's a lot of things that went into that ordinance. Non-parallel fences, height restrictions, air movement through them, lattice work at the top. It's not just, let's allow 6-foot plastic fences all around. Make that decision with a bunch of 6th graders sitting around a table in 10 minutes. And it looks bad. It is not attractive.
Well, I guess in these 2 situations that you're going to see, there isn't a situation where you've got that dumping area, so that really
Are
wasn't
those
an
fences
issue.
on the lot line?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. So I guess that would be an issue. I mean, where the fence goes, that's an issue, and definitely a variance and something that needs to take a look at where the fence goes. But I'm talking about just the manufacturing of the fence and what's available. And it just,
I mean, we could have decided on crappy fences, but 16% more, okay. We want it to look nice.
well, I'm just asking you to take a look at it.
Gary, I think the proper thing to do with this for tonight, I think it should go to probably the building committee with trustee Hupkey, and get some of us together, have the meeting, and we'll bring it back to board level and.
So I'll comment at that time.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
Item B, fence variances. The first one is Helen Flores, 537 Linden Lane, requests a variance for the installation of a 6-foot vinyl privacy fence.
Mr. and Mrs. Flores to step up. This one was brought to the Planning and Zoning Commission for the variance. They have a pool in their backyard they'd like to protect, and it is a solid white PVC fence. And the difference here is that the Planning and Zoning Commission approved this one unanimously, voted to move to the board.
I have a question. I was out by your house today. The village manager just mentioned that you want to protect your pool.
there's actually another reason that's more important for us to even doing the fence, and a reason for our variance. Do you want me to just give the story, or?
No, I just wanted to comment.
Sure.
Your pool's out there wide open, but it doesn't meet the requirements for a fence around the pool.
Actually, because it's a 46 inch deep pool, the walls in all but one little spot are high enough. We actually had somebody out a couple years ago, and the code enforcement guy, and him and I talked through it, and that's why you'll see there's like 3 little sections of fence on the one area of the pool, that not where the deck is, but on the other area, and that's the only area that is the wall is low enough to be below high enough without having a fence around it. We started out with a fence all the way around it, and then we measured it, and we took part of it off because we were told it met the code, because the wall of the pool is higher than a typical pool. So that was enough of a barrier from what we were told.
Is that true?
As far as I know, all pools should have a fence.
Right, that's my understanding.
When we looked at he gave us actually a copy of the actual code, and it said that pool walls can be part of the barrier, and the barrier has to be X inches tall. I don't remember what that was.
Well, that's the question, yeah. I mean, if you got an 8-foot wall around it, that's not a problem, but...
No, it was just a couple inches above where it needed to be, because half of the pool is actually built above the ground. You can't really, it's hard to tell because we've got it all landscaped nicely, but from about half of it is ground level. The one little section where I have the fence is the only section where they dug down. The rest of it, they built, took dirt and built back up.
Can we check that?
I will. Because as far as I know, every pool needs a fence.
Right.
Any pool over 4 feet needs a fence. Actually, any pool over 3 feet needs a fence. Because even those rubber ones from Walmart need something around to bury it, a barrier, so kids can't get in there.
Yeah, we definitely agree. Like I say, we followed the code when we came for the permit.
No, I don't doubt that you did. I'm just gonna have to look into what our person said.
Do you have a fence right now?
Pardon?
Do you have a fence around your property right now?
No. A neighbor has a fence to our, this would be to our south. The south neighbor has an old chain link fence, but there's no other fence. We don't have a fence.
I make a motion, we approve it. Motion, we approve it. Second.
How about more discussion on this?
Could I give you just about a 2-minute spiel on the reason behind it? Well, the reason we're doing it is, the house is, our house is not typical in the area, and it's a raised ranch. There's only 2 in the whole subdivision that we know of that were built that way. We had a custom built by the builder. But we built our house, and then he built another non-typical house next to us. It was never an issue with our last neighbor because she never used it, but now we have new neighbors. And that house must have got a variance because it sits maybe 7 feet from the lot line, where the others are 12 to 15 feet roughly in the subdivision. And they have a sliding glass door that comes off their kitchen that faces all my kids' bedrooms. So their house is raised up a little bit. Like I said, it was an older lady that lived next to us before. It was never an issue, but the new folks use that door all the time. And I'm trying to get my daughters to obviously close their blinds. They don't always do it. And it's a direct shot from their house right into our bedrooms. And it's so close that it's like we have to do something. We thought about just tinting the windows or something, and then they open them in the wintertime, but in the summertime, obviously. But so the main reason for us is to stop the view. We did look into doing a fence with gaps. The only one that was commonly stocked or manufactured without being a custom fence was about an inch gap, and that was basically completely ineffective for what we wanted to do. We did get prices we asked a couple different vendors to ask their manufacturers what it would be to do just the 1/4 inch to try to minimize what you could see through. And the prices we were given by 3 different vendors were far different than 16%. One was double and one was almost triple. One fence company said, we think we can have it done, but we've never had it done before. So they have their catalog, and the only thing they had in their catalogs was, like I say, an inch gap, which is about a $2,000 to $3,000 bump, which is, if it would do what we needed it to do, we'd have no issue with that. But the 1/4 inch, they were talking, we're going from a $6,000 fence up to $13,000 to $15,000 is what we were told.
It's a 6-foot fence. Are you going to put the lattice around the
No,
top?
No, that would, again, render it ineffective for what we need to use it for.
So you want us to make a variance because your daughters don't close their blinds?
For a privacy issue, I mean, I wish we would have known before that house was built. We certainly would have spoke up because we don't like the way it was laid out. Every other house in that whole subdivision, besides this one, and then one other one that was built just like it, they have, the front is the front doors and windows and all that. The sides have some windows, but there's, all the sliders are in the back of the, back of the property. Or had we known that, our house was built way before that one, we could have flipped it and I could have put the windows to the other side, so it wasn't like, but this is a high traffic, they have dogs, are constantly taking them out that area. So, yeah, I mean, could I try to teach my daughters to shut their windows? Sure. But in reality, I'd feel much better as a father if I could just put up a privacy fence and have some privacy and not have to worry about it.
Are you a renter or an owner?
I rent, my mom owns the house.
I just feel that the people that own the property here in Peotone have a right to privacy, and some people disagree, and I respect that to some extent. Some people don't have fences around the property and others do. I just feel that I agree with things that you're saying, and I still stand, I make a motion to approve this variance.
Is there a second?
I'll second it. I'm kind of indifferent to the solid fence myself, but I think the privacy issue given is worth merit to vote on.
This will be ordinance 17-04. Motion by trustee Hupkey, seconded by trustee Ham.
Mr. Hupkey.
Yes.
Mr. Ham.
Yes.
Mr. March.
Yes.
And Mr. Jones.
No.
That's three, you have,
And Mr. Wade.
Yes.
that's four? Okay.
Thank you.
Next fence ordinance is Kristen and Charles Dozier, 902 Garfield Avenue, requesting a variance to allow installation of a 6-foot privacy fence.
Essentially exactly the same as the last one, except the privacy issue. More of an affordability issue. The petitioners asked for a 6-foot privacy fence of the PVC material, I do believe.
Yes, sir.
And this also passed the planning and zoning, but not unanimously, I must say that.
Do you own the property or rent it?
No. Gary, why was this one, what was the hesitation with this one, do you know?
Actually, the 3-2, there was a lot of discussion about it since it was the first time this came to planning and zoning. And actually, the consensus was that we were wondering which would be the best way to send a message to the village board to take a look at this, by voting no or voting yes. And finally I said, you know what, I'll just go to the meeting and explain to them how, what we see is going to happen and how we feel about it, and ask them to take a look at it.
Okay.
So actually, the 3-2 was the first variance that we saw, and then with further discussion and also the other privacy issue, the second one was unanimous.
Okay, thanks.
Can I comment on this?
Yes.
I'm on the planning and zoning board, and we had 4 people at the meeting and then Gary as the president. One was completely in favor of passing the variance. One was completely wishy-washy and was kind of impartial either way. And the other 2 were adamantly against, because the only purpose for the variance was cost. And what's the point of the variance? Or what's the point of the ordinance if we're just going to give variances every time? It just doesn't make any sense.
So what you're saying is cost a reasonable factor for giving variances? My responsibility would be no. I mean, we have ordinances because we want a certain quality.
That's
we
not the
want a
full
certain-
reason for the variance.
certain
That
law.
plays a big
So,
part in it.
wait.
but-
My issue is, we want a 6-foot privacy fence, that's what we want. It will look good with our property. We didn't see any issues with it. We have dogs, we have a child, we want to keep them on our property. It's not like we're gonna get a fence that looks horrible. I think as soon as we put a fence up, our neighbors will deal off of that and get a fence. So I don't really understand what the issue is.
I spoke to one of the neighbors near the property there, and they were actually in favor of the privacy fence because the dogs are a nuisance and the yard is not the best
I mean,
kept, so.
we have a German Shepherd too, and every time he sees something, he likes to bark. So a small gap, even an inch, is enough for him to see out, and he does like to bark. If he's contained, he's fine. So that's part of the reason. Also, we do have a 2-year-old daughter right now too. So we do like the privacy of it, and like they've mentioned before, if we get the 1/4-inch slat, that is custom. The people who live right behind us, they have their big sliding glass door right that faces our yard. The other neighbors are out all the time, and you can see right through. She have like a little pool area in the summer, you know, to be out there and playing, and just kind of give her her privacy as well.
Just so, I mean, to comment on that, about the dogs barking, this is one thing I will agree with Trustee Jones on that. I mean, dogs, they're gonna bark at anything. They're gonna bark at noises.
Right. I
And
mean,
other
if he
dogs
sees
down the
things though,
street.
that does make him go
But, I
off
mean,
a lot more
right,
than.
I'm just saying that, you know,
Than if he can't see out. Because when we close the
But-
blinds to our house and he doesn't see anything outside, he's perfectly
Because
calm
my
when he's out
dogs-
there or can see out the windows.
my dogs, when the mailman goes by, barks.
Yeah.
The garbage truck barks. I mean, that's just their senses, but, I mean, it's, your reason is just because you own a property and you want the privacy around your yard.
Yes.
So, with that in mind, I make a motion, we approve that variance.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
This will be ordinance 17-05. Motion by trustee Hupkey, seconded by trustee Ham.
Mr. Hupkey.
Yes.
Mr. Ham.
Yes.
Mr. March.
Yes.
And Mr. Jones.
No.
And
Yes.
Mr. Hackins.
You're done.
Thank you.
Moving on, special event and amplifier permit.
Let me just say one thing. If there's an issue in anybody's backyard in town, it's gonna be a code enforcement issue, and a fence is not gonna hide it, just so you know. So clean it up, keep it clean, it's very important, and protect that pool, that's also very important, because you don't wanna be standing in front of this board wondering why your backyard isn't clean or a child died in the pool, okay? I mean, that's very important, to just put that right out on the table, okay? Okay. Let's start.
Thanks, Briggs.
Special event and amplifier permit, the Peotone American Legion Memorial Day Parade, May 29th, 2017. I think it's the same route as always from the Legion to the cemetery. 9:30 lineup, 10 o'clock the parade starts. I think it's pretty much routine.
So moved. Second.
Motion by trustee March, seconded by trustee Hupkey.
Mr. March.
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey.
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. Ham.
Yes.
And Mr. Hackins.
Yes. Item 2, Peotone Chamber of Commerce, Summer Festival in the downtown area, July 7th to the 9th, with street closures, amplifier permit, and 3 one-day liquor licenses. Julie?
Myself, I'm Adam Jones, I'm the president, and this is Julie
Julie.
Sluice, she's the
Executive Director.
I thought Chief was gonna be here for this one.
He was, but he left, so.
You just wanna tell us about it?
Sure. On July 7th, 8th, and 9th, we're just going to have an event in downtown Peotone with a carnival for the kids. Have an entertainment tent. We got bands coming in each night. We'll be shut down by 11 o'clock at night. Well, actually, the music and stuff will stop at 10:30. We'll be out by 11 o'clock to hopefully not disrupt things too poorly. We met with the police and fire and Public Works last Thursday morning to get everybody on the same page there, and I think that went very well. There's going to be a car show on Sunday towards All Automotive in the dance studio on Main Street. The carnival area will be basically the block in front of the bowling alley and part of the western part of North Street. And our entertainment tent will be on North Street between the Legion and 2nd Street. There's also be vendors on 2nd Street selling crafts or whatever the stuff they sell. Touch a truck coming in Saturday afternoon. I was thinking of bringing a fire truck or concrete trucks. Fire department. Terry's is bringing some pickup trucks, just different items. Do you have anything else to?
Street closures are Main Street, 2nd Street, and North Street, correct? Okay.
I'd like to make a comment.
Sure.
I just want to thank Adam and Julie for, there's a lot of work involved in this, and thank you for doing this for Peotone.
Thank you.
And the chief was all good with all of the liquor licenses, I believe, and I think that was actually his map, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, mine and his.
Okay, so, I believe it had all of his approval, so is there a motion to approve? Motion by trustee Hupkey, seconded by? Second by trustee Jones.
Okay, so you're gonna approve the street closures, you're gonna approve the amplifier permit, and you're gonna approve
Yeah,
the
we can
three
do it all at
one-day
once.
liquor licenses.
Like 3 one-day license.
Make sure.
I assume that, because it's a whole.
And again, I want to thank both of you for all the work that you put into this. Thank you so much.
Julie's done about 9% of it.
My husband's ready to shoot, but we're getting it done.
Mr. Hupkey.
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. March.
Yes.
Mr. Ham.
Yes.
And Mr. Hill.
Yes, so good luck to you guys on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come out and enjoy it.
Item D, resolution declaring the results of election and abstract of votes in regards to the April 4th, 2017 election. I think you all have the results and everything in your packets.
So moved. Second.
Motion by trustee March, seconded by trustee Hupkey.
You have a number on that, Donna?
I'm sorry, resolution 17-R01.
Mr. March.
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey.
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. Ham.
Yes.
And Mr. Hill.
Yes. Item E, hail and farewell. None of us are changing, so we'll skip right over that. Questions of the press, and I don't see Karen here. Number 8, adjourn, sign, die.
That would be if you're changing the guard you're in or not.
So we can,
You can do the oath. You temporarily adjourn, so you can do the oath, basically.
yeah,
Yes.
we'll just move on to the oath of office for newly elected officials.
Chased him away.
That'll get them every time. Afraid you're gonna swear them in.
Alright, got one for you, one for you, and, whoops, did I give you the wrong one?
Yes, you did.
And I've got one for you. Y'all want to come on up and I'll do the honors?
For the record, we will do the other two next meeting. And then Donna's sworn in at the county.
And we got another one for you to sign too. so. All right, if everybody will raise the right hand for me and repeat after me. I state your name.
Roy Kevin Hupkey.
having been elected to the office of village trustee
having been elected to the office of village trustee
for the village of Peotone,
for the village of Peotone, village of Peotone,
county of Will,
county of Will,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Illinois compiled statutes,
the Illinois compiled statutes,
and the laws and ethics pertaining to municipalities,
and the laws and ethics pertaining to municipalities,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of village trustee
of the office of village trustee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Sweet. Now, those ones, if you sign them and give them back to me, and these ones are for you guys. That's.
Thank you, Donna. Thanks, Donna.
All right.
Thank you.
All righty, thank you.
Now you call back to order.
All right, and we will do roll call again. Clerk, please call roll.
Mr. Hupkey.
Here.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. March.
Here.
Mr. Ham.
Here.
And Mr. Hack.
Yes. First item of new business is appointments of committees, and I believe we're going to table these until the next meeting. Is there a motion to table?
Motion. So second.
Motion by trustee Jones, second by trustee March.
We're tabling appointments.
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. March.
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey.
Yes.
Mr. Ham.
Yes.
And Mr. Hack.
Yes. Item B under new business, Thompson Electric Incorporated requests partial payment. Estimate number one in the amount of $30,825 for the work completed on the Rathje Road lift station generator project. You want to touch on that, Troy?
Sure. Thompson Electric has, they poured the concrete pad and they put the generator in place. I think right now they're waiting for NICOR service to be installed. So once that's installed, they can hook up the generator and test it. So they've requested a partial payment just for all the materials they ordered and the work they've done so far.
Do they have a timeline on NICOR? Will it end up like the Wilmington Road one?
It shouldn't be like that. Right now, I heard that NICOR is in discussions with the school district about the easement and just getting that final language worked out. And according to NICOR, as soon as that's worked out, that it should be only a couple weeks after that to get it put in. It should only take a day, they say.
So,
Make a comment about this?
Sure.
Yes.
Just, I don't know the other, I'd like input from the other trustees that are here now, and village administrator and village clerk. What does anybody think about having landscaping around that to kind of like a facade, like to block that from, whether it be bushes, trees? Does anybody?
I think that's always a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. And who would get that? That'd be,
us.
okay. Can you maybe look at that?
I can
Thank
talk
you.
to Bob.
All right, thank you.
Should probably do all of them.
Yes, yes, yes.
So, is there a motion to approve the work?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by trustee Hupkey, second by trustee Ham.
Mr. Hupkey.
Yes.
Mr. Ham.
Yes.
Mr. March.
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. Hack.
Yes. Item C, Davis Concrete Construction requests final payment, estimate number two in the amount of $2,528.63 for work completed on the 2016 sidewalk project. And I believe, Troy, you guys, all the warranty stuff, any problems have been addressed?
Yeah, this was the retention amount that was held. So after they fixed those couple areas that were of concern, and Bob said it's okay to go ahead and pay him the final amount.
How long do we still have left on the warranty period?
It should be until, I believe it was installed either in August or September.
Should we make a final inspection to be sure nothing else has shown up?
I believe that's what Bob did. I think he walked them all already.
No.
Oh, you mean afterwards?
You're right, since we're
Before.
guaranteed through September.
Yeah, that's up to the board. They want to continue to hold it for the warranty.
I like that idea.
And something else, I brought this up before, whenever we have sidewalks done, I'd like them to stamp their
I have that note in already for the next year's project.
In the date.
You said that.
That way it's-
Village of Peotone on the date.
That's a great idea.
Is there a motion?
motion to pay.
Second?
Second.
Motion by trustee Jones, second by trustee Ham.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Ham?
Yes.
Mr. March?
Yes.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
And Mr. Hack?
Yes. Questions of the press? No press. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Hupkey, seconded by? Second by trustee March.
Mr. Hupkey?
Yes.
Mr. March?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Ham?
Yes.
And Mr.
Yes, meeting adjourned.